So if your plan is to date a woman so that you can make her a maid, it makes you an impoverished man.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Dixon. Today we're checking a video of a woman saying, I make too much money to cook and clean for a man. So let's get into the video.
Quick story time. So me and this man matched on the apps. His approach was pretty good. He had good banter, which is usually a problem for these people called men. However, in the middle of the chat, we're chatting and he goes, can you cook? Which we all know is a red flag. And I answer, of course I can cook. I'm a competent adult. I hope you can too. That's such an odd question. And then he kind of ignores it and goes on to say, oh, can we FaceTime to just like pre-meet, which I love because I'm not leaving the house for somebody that I don't know who might be crazy, because 99% of the time they're not well. So we get on FaceTime and it's pretty good banter. Where are you from? What do you do? You're a professional woman. So then he delves straight into it. Oh, like, you know, what happened in your previous relationship? And I'm like, and I'm not about to bash anybody because they're not worth bashing. So I'm like, yeah, you know, the last situation didn't work out. We were not compatible. And he's like, oh, what do you mean you weren't compatible? And I'm like, so he asked me like, what's something I don't like in a relationship and dating? And I said, I don't like when a guy's unreliable. Like, being unreliable is one of my top pet peeves. And randomly, you know, he asked me, oh, what does unreliable mean to you? And I said, like, you plan, you know, we're supposed to go on a date and you cancel. I don't like that. He now looks at me and he goes, so are you a feminist? I said, is it a trick question? What does feminism have to do with my preferences in dating? But I already knew it was a red flag. I was like, why is he trying to ask me if I support the rights of women? Why? So I split. I said, I don't understand. What 1 + 1 is 2. So how did we get here? Like, why are you asking me? What does me having preferences in dating have to do with feminism? Like, where are you? What's this connection? And he's gonna answer, well, you know, these days women expect men to be more effeminate and they don't allow men to be men. So maybe your expectations of him were really for women and shouldn't be for a man. And then he goes, so then I asked him, I was like, you know, so you're into gender roles? And he's like, yeah, I think a man should be a provider. And, you know, for me, I'm going to be a provider. I don't expect my wife to tell me to cook or to clean toilets. So I said, so you're supposed to be a competent adult. Right now, I assume you do your own dishes and clean toilet. You meet me, a professional woman who's making her own money. At my level, I don't even wash toilets. I outsource that. So you expect a woman of my caliber to date you and then downgrade my life and become your toilet cleaner. So he now said, oh, but if men have to participate in domestic chores, what's the benefit to men? So I said, so I now told him, I said, you know, every time people get into these topics about, oh, cleaning, cooking, it's an impoverished mindset because I'm working, so I ain't got to do either. So if your plan is to date a woman so that you can make her a maid, it makes you an impoverished man, period. So this man comes back, right? And he's like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I've scared him away. Like, in my head, I'm like, good. Like, I've told you, I'm not here to be your domestic staff, you weird man. So I'm thinking, oh, I've scared him away. This man comes back and he's like, oh, I would really like to take you on a date. So now I'm curious. Am I going to go on a date with him? And no. So I said, oh, okay. Where are you thinking of taking me? What are the options? Send me options. He said, oh, where are you? I tell him where I am. He's like, okay, I'll send 2 options, like kind of equidistant for where you are. I said, okay, cool. I said, okay, cool, send me option. This man sent me Starbucks 1, Starbucks 2.
Christine about the city said, ladies, if you are single and not thriving, just stay single and not thriving by yourself. And Rennie, the video creator, said, LMAO, yes, I concur. Another guy came and said, his name is Sulaiman, said, lol, not Starbucks 1 and Starbucks 2. After all the provider talk, laugh, laugh, laugh emoji. And she said, because he's such a giving guy and laughing. So all this is sarcastic. Ash said, the feminism question is always funny. Like, I hate being able to vote and have my own bank account. I don't think that's what feminism helped you to do, but let's move on. That's women's right. Jollof for breakfast says, it's the brokest men who say nonsense like this. Good said LMFAO. Oh. Girl, I am matched after they ask if I can cook. Because why are you asking me what I can do for you already? The only reason they can ask you what you can do for them already is because you don't seem like you can do anything valuable for them. Because if you can, it will be very evident and you will show it. It will be in your resume. Your Instagram will not be filled with naked pictures. It will be filled with pictures of you doing things that can benefit his life. So Grace says, the answer for me is always no. I can't cook. You will not shame me. Shame yourself, sir, with a crying emoji. So Demfana says, okay, hear me out. You agree to meet him. Don't go through. And when he arrives, make sure he's there. Tell him you don't honor coffee dates and block him. Rennie, the creator, says, noted, I need to do this next time someone dares to offer such a date. And that's just wicked. That's just wicked. If you don't want to go, don't go. Cheryl says, haha, these men in these streets, my dear. A very broad statement. Okay, I will not take that as an insult. Teacher says, yo, the audacity and delusion is at an all-time high. Georgina says, so many red flags from the jump. Candy says, OMG, we are literally having the same issue. That poverty mindset, like I am going to have a maid and chef. Laughing emoji. Another thing to note about this lady is, you see how her accent changes from Americanized to Nigerian. I'm guessing she's Nigerian, I don't know, but most likely she's Nigerian, but that's one funny part I noticed. So these are my thoughts concerning this whole thing. Either the guy did not communicate his point well, or she represented him in a way she thought she heard him. There are some people, when you tell them your position on something, all they hear is what they think you meant and not what you actually said. So we have to keep that in mind. No matter how clear you are, it's of no use. So we don't know what type of person she is, so we take what she says with a grain of salt, and at the same time, this is not also defending the guy. The guy might also just be a hypocrite who wants a traditional woman but is not willing on his own part to compromise in some areas and be traditional in the part that he's supposed to play. Case in point, look at what modern feminism is today. So you need to ask yourself, what was the guy's view? What is his view concerning feminism before you start critiquing him that he hates human rights? In the mind of a feminist today, male rule is taboo. It's a taboo that needs to be dismantled. It's not just a taboo. So regardless of whether that male rule is toxic or not, it has to be dismantled according to the modern feminist. Feminists hate patriarchy, that is male headship. So a society without positive male headship dies. Whether you agree or not, go and look at history and see whether you can tell me any other thing that is contrary to what I just said. If your spouse hates the idea of male ruling, then she can never submit to you, even if her life depends on it. The fact that you hold power as a man, if it irks her, you're in trouble. Serious one. What people are not considering concerning the guy that she just blasted is, if this guy was interested in a long-term relationship, he would probably have taken her to somewhere better. The reason he's not proposing that is because he's not interested in her long-term. You might say he wasn't interested from the onset, but I think it's after her response, his whole mindset changed concerning her. So let me ask people in sales, all my brothers and sisters in sales selling products and making gains. Would you take a certain client that you are sure that they will not commit, they will not buy what you are selling, or they will buy a cheaper version of what you are selling? Would you take them to an expensive restaurant to sell them, or would you just take them to a casual place and talk business or meet them in their office? It's a question for you, and everybody knows the answer. The guy asked for a coffee date because in his mind, you are no longer a long-term candidate. Not because he's cheap and not because he doesn't know your value, because he has put you in the category of not long-term. He has entered the state of, what can I get out of this lady? Is there something I can get out of this, as I don't see this thing as a long-term relationship anymore? And most likely he's just looking at it as, how can I get casual sex since I don't see any future from this whole arrangement? What I'm about to say right now is not as if I always condone, but it's in the male brain. It's not what I support, but try to think with me in a general basis. In the male brain, he's looking at the cheapest way to get what he can from a hopeless situation, because he doesn't see this woman as a good candidate, and he doesn't also see her as someone that will bring peace to his life. So what he's just doing is just being selfish and wants to get something out of it. Even if it ends up working out, even if relationship with her ends up working out and she turns a new leaf. He doesn't want to waste his money in case it goes bad. I'm not defending it. I'm just trying to get you to see why he's responding this way. So on her own part, she's saying she has the issue of cooking and cleaning. Cooking and cleaning for your husband and not your boyfriend this time. It's not a bad thing. It shows you care. Love it or hate it. You can't tell a man I love you and you don't feed him, or you don't even take care of his house. That your I love you is surface level. Even if you could pay someone else to do these things, you are not showing him love. Take for example, it's like me paying someone else to tell my wife I love you. And it's for me always paying someone else to fix the broken things at home. Oh, this is broken, I'll call the plumber. This is broken, I'll call the other guy. This is broken. It's very simple. Just use screwdriver and no, I'll call the technician. My wife will one day look at it as me not caring because I'm always outsourcing my duties to someone else. On the guy's part, he said he would be a provider, which means he doesn't expect the lady to carry the family's financial load. If this is the case, then cooking for him should not be a struggle for you as a woman. If you noticed in the comment, some of their comments were very derogatory towards the man. I'm not saying the man does not deserve it or whatever the case may be, but I want people to always do a thought experiment with me. You can say it's justified and you might be right, but always do this thought experiment with me. In what scenario is a man allowed to say the derogatory thing that she said, or rather those people said, towards a woman? Even when a woman is given the bare minimum in a date, is a man allowed to go online and blast her? Answer that question yourself. You can leave it in the comments if you want. So if your answer is there is no reason for a man to do that, then I rest my case. But if your answer is not something or nothing, then you are disingenuous. So let's be fair here. If it's not right for a man to do it, it's not right for women to do it also. Taking people's business on blast online, shaming the person and blasting the person as cheap, as this, as that. Think of the inverse and tell me whether it is correct or it is right to do. In other words, it is okay when men are shamed, and it is evil when women are shamed, even if they do deserve it. So that's a hypocrisy all of us have to bear with. Is even something that I myself had to learn to not tolerate, because in some cases I just see people blast men around me and I'm just like, it's okay. Only for me to think about it and be like, can I really accept it if they do the same for a woman? And the answer was no. If so, it's something we have to be conscious of, or else we'll bring it into our houses and our marriages, and it will cause a lot of problem where we'll be disrespecting the men around us and thinking, he can take it. But that's not the case. We should not make these kind of things popular in our society, in our homes, in our surrounds. So, conclusion, I don't think the guy was being cheap. He was just being safe, hoping he can get something from his previous effort. So he has already spent a lot of effort trying to get the ladies' attention. So he wants to see if he can get something. And all these dating apps most likely has some other people he's talking to at the same time. Even if we disagree, we should never forget that the other person is a human being, and we ought to honor the image of God in them. So even if I disagree with you, I don't have the right to start dishonoring you. Please don't enter this aspect where we start disrespecting each other. What are your thoughts in this video? Was he being cheap or safe? Let me know below in the comments. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. I need your help. I can't do it alone. Please support the channel. And this is Dixon signing out. Bye-bye.